What's good, people? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Like and subscribe. Follow on TikTok also. So, yeah, it's fight week. It's upon us. Just a few days' time now. Saturday night, we're going to have the long awaited, the first fight was, meant to be 2022 in the O2 Arena. But obviously, we know what happened with Conor Benn. And so now here we are. Pretty much 3 years later, it's 2025. This Saturday, April 26th, it is Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. And yesterday we had the grand arrivals, and both guys came in, looked quite sharp, looked quite focused. They done the undercard as well. Good cruiserweight fights on there. So, plenty of good action on this card on Saturday, and we're just going to talk a bit about what's the main event and the grand arrivals there. And there's not too much really to read into it. Both guys arrived late to Tottenham Hotspur, and both of them seemed pretty much being themselves, calm. Eubank Jr. looking very cerebral. Conor Benn late, Chris Eubank Jr. arriving slightly after him. They're still doing little security checks on Chris Eubank Jr. They've done it last night, checking for eggs or any funny articles that might be in his pockets. And what they done, they did do a face-off, but the face-off, as those of you who've seen it will know, was from quite a far distance. So there was security in between, in front of them, behind them, all around. So they weren't within sort of touching distance of each other, but they were at the distance where, if they jumped, if they went for it, perhaps they could have got to each other. But there was far enough that they're not sort of touching distance from one another. Neither guy really wanted to look away. They're both sort of staring each other down. Both looked sort of razor focused and ready to go. Obviously, Nigel Benn was around. Unfortunately, Chris Eubank Sr. wasn't around. Not really too much to say about it. Conor Benn, they interviewed him, I believe it was first, and asked him, well, is this personal? And he said, of course it's personal. What do you mean? Of course it's personal. And he was saying that basically, when I go into a fight, I'm going to punch a guy in the face. I'm going to aim to hurt a guy, to take a guy out. And the guy's coming in there to hurt me, to do damage. So every fight has to be personal to me, because at the end of the day, the guy's coming to take my head off. I'm coming to take his head off. I'm coming in to do damage. So is he. So this is a fight. This is personal. I'm here. I'm here for war, basically. And Eubank Jr. was very sort of calm with his words, quite focused, and he just said the procedure will be parliamentary. Didn't really give too much away, just said, look, what's going to happen is what I want to happen. That's what's going to happen in this fight. He's going to get his way. He's going to do what he wants in the fight. And that was pretty much it. The undercard stuff, pretty tame, pretty calm. There wasn't anything really sort of noteworthy for the undercard, apart from the fact that it is going to be good, especially the two cruiserweight fights featuring, Chev Clark and Vidal Riley, Chris Billum-Smith. So there's going to be some good fights on the undercard building up to it. Even Arthur versus Yard, the third fight, I mean, I'm expecting Yard to win that, but even that could be a sleeper, that it might be a good fight in the end. You never know. But yeah, as also, after this build up, I watched Chris Eubank Sr. He went on the Sun Sport, which a few days ago, their boxing program. I didn't even know they had much on YouTube regarding boxing, but yeah, he went on there, and he went with George Groves, and then there was a journalist or two, I think two journalists from the Sun on there. And Chris Eubank Sr. went on there, and for me, I normally, I do respect what he has to say, but I thought in this particular interview, he kind of bad-mouthed his son a bit in this interview. And, he was saying that this fight's not going to happen. And, because there are rules in place, and weights fight weights, and, in the end of it, he was trying to promote Harlem Eubank. It was Harlem Eubank was there as well, and he was saying that, look, this fight's not going to happen, and I believe Harlem Eubank can stop Conor Benn. He will stop Conor Benn. But to me, I think really and truly, what he was saying about his son on this show and on other shows, allowing Simon Jordan to kind of call his son a charlatan. I mean, for me, I have to sort of disagree with it, his stance there, because I think when it comes to something, especially like boxing, I think rather than go to these sort of media outlets and do the interviews. I mean, it's clear that he strongly disagrees with the fight. He doesn't think the fight should be happening. He doesn't think his son and Conor should be competing against one another, and he cites various reasons about the weights and the rules are being broken. But I kind of side with what George Groves said on the program, which is that, Chris, at the end of the day, you say things about weights, but these guys are fighting at middleweight, 160-pound limit. Both guys are going to make the weight and they're going to fight. So there really aren't any rules that are being broken. So, that's my sort of perspective too. He's talking all this about rules, but at the end of the day, both guys are following the rules. They've agreed to fight at a particular weight, and they're gonna fight at that weight, and that's it. That's the agreement. That's what they've signed up for, and that's what they're gonna do. So, I think if you're gonna disagree with this fight, that's fair enough. But I think you would really want to talk to your son privately. I think the fact that he's coming out on these social media, on these media outlets, and doing these big public interviews, I see that as something that's kind of, if anything, it can be quite disheartening for his son and quite detrimental, because you're going in public and you're kind of bad mouthing your son, when I think, if anything, you should either not say anything at all and just sort of be silent on the matter, not talk on the matter in public, just talk to your son in private, or you should do the right thing and support your son. Be there, be in your son's corner, because at the end of the day, yes, you want your son to listen and etc., but your son is he's 35 years old. He's a big man. It's not like you're dealing with child here. Eubank Jr. is a big grown man. 35. 5 years time he'll be 40 years old. He's a grown man that's making his own decisions, and therefore I think you should just support him. To be honest, be in his corner, and in my view, I think a lot of where Senior is coming from probably is because of the fact that Chris Eubank Jr., in the beginning of his career, was allowing his dad to take a lot of spotlight, and Eubank Sr. was always in the camera and taking front and center, taking center stage on everything, and sort of making all the decisions. And I believe that now Junior has sort of said to his dad over the past couple of years that, look, Dad, I want to take the reins of my career. I want to take control. I want to choose which direction I'm going in. From the moment Junior said that, obviously Chris Eubank, he wants to control things, and I believe that is kind of where the way he's talking and kind of hypercritical over his son, this big criticisms that he's got over his son, I think it stems from that fact that he's now kind of been asked to take a back seat by his son, and his son wants that independence and the ability to just take control of his own destiny in his own career. I think he doesn't like that, and he wants to have all the spotlight and all the adulation, and he wants to dictate. But for me, in my opinion, now that your son gets to a certain age, even if you disagree with this fight, you don't like it, I think you should either support it, and just be in there, advise the son, or you just stay silent on the matter. But I think by him coming out and publicly making, all these statements and these big criticisms of his son, to me, I don't think that's any good. I don't think that's a good thing to be doing. But that's just my opinion on it. Let me know what you think, what you thought of the grand arrivals, and what you think about what Eubank Senior's been saying in public against his son. Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, MKO Boxing, over and out.